Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live. Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will, Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome to Wacky Wednesday on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm the blogfather, Adam Best, and I'm joined, as always, by the golden voice of Sterling Holmes. Sterling, you ready to get the hell out of 2025 and usher in 2026?
Oh, I can't wait, baby. Yeah, I hadn't taken a sick day in all of 2025, and of course, I come down sick the past couple days. I was having a coughing fit on radio. Can't make it up. I wanted to go. It's like the Creed Humphrey streak where I haven't missed a day, so I'm going to keep the Iron Man streak alive. Clearly went in, and I coughed so hard, I pulled a muscle in my neck. So I cannot turn my head right now. I am in immense pain, but I'm going to power through, okay? I'm fighting through this for you guys.
That's terrible, man. You're like the Michael Keaton Batman suit where you just have to turn the whole body.
Full turn. Driving was dumb. I had to try and get over a lane. I'm like trying to move my whole body over.
Yeah, you're turning at the torso and really using those mirrors. I've been there, man. Stiff neck. We were talking pre-show. Most inescapable pain, and almost anything else you can kind of block out, but the neck is the worst. Well, hopefully you recover quickly. I think it's kind of ironic or symbolic or something, given the way that the Chiefs season has gone, that we end on this note. Big kind of overarching question for this weekend. And there's a lot of debate about this. Do you want the Chiefs to beat the Raiders on Sunday?
Honestly, yes, to an extent. I don't think the draft pick, I know people will have their draft value numbers they put on every single draft pick, and 8 to 12. That's about where the Chiefs are looking at. They're about that 9, 10, 11 range, 12 if they win and everything goes wrong, 8 if they lose and everything goes right. I don't know if there's enough difference personally from 8 to 12 to where I sit back and say, I want the Chiefs to lose to the 2-14 Raiders without Max Crosby. Part of me is like, I don't care. They're still the Raiders. Beat their ass.
I want them to lose. I'm getting a lot of shit for it. People are like, have some pride, beat the Raiders.
I have pride. That's what it is.
I mean, I have long-term pride. I guess I'm just a little finger type thinker. And I'm thinking big picture. A week 18 game against the Raiders when we're eliminated means absolutely nothing, especially on the heels of 3 Super Bowl trips. It's not like, yeah, we got swept by the Broncos. The Chargers also swept the Chiefs. It doesn't matter. They have a lot of catching up to do. This was a down year. And as I was saying yesterday, the Chiefs are going to turn it around, I think. The San Francisco 49ers last year were 6-11, had a very snake-bitten season. Now, they didn't have the best of luck this year, but when you have a franchise that's as well run as the 49ers or the Chiefs, they're not going to stay down too long. I just don't think they're going to get back into the top 10 anytime soon. And the closer you can get to those top 5 or 6 picks, because those are almost, sometimes they miss, but very seldom do those picks miss. So I would love for the Chiefs to be in striking distance in case they want to move up the one time they get a shot at a top 5 or 6 player. Because I don't think they're going to be back here for the next 10 years. I mean, maybe.
Fair, but have some pride, okay? This is what it comes down to. It's having pride. You right now are the pajama-wearing person on the plane with sandals. Have some pride, okay? No one wants to see your toes. I'm not asking you to wear a suit on the plane, but come on, pajamas. At least put on some jeans, some leggings if you're a lady. Pajamas on a plane is when the decline will start, okay? Okay, this is the issue. I'm telling you. Pajamas on a plane, or if you don't put the cart back in the grocery store, you leave it in the parking lot. Those people, I'm telling you, it's bad news. It's bad news, and that's you right now wanting the Chiefs to lose to the Raiders. That's you.
just lazy. I don't think I'm the guy. I don't think I'm the guy taking off my shoes on the plane. I think I'm maybe wearing a hoodie and some joggers and some beater sneakers. But I don't know. I also think it would be funny if the Chiefs, let's think very strategically here, if the Chiefs blocked the Raiders from getting their franchise quarterback, because that could definitely be in the cards with where the Raiders are currently picking. So I would love to block them. So that's another chess move that I'm thinking about. We will see what happens Sunday. We're going to be with you for the post-game show after Chiefs at Raiders. Patrick Allen and myself pre-recorded a show that will talk a little bit about that game, and that will air tomorrow on New Year's Day. So a full slate of shows this week, even with the holiday. We wanted to do it for you guys to finish off the season with a bang. Today, we are going to power rank the biggest problems of the 2025 season. I have 10 things. I'm going to talk to you about them before we rank them. If you have a write-in and you want something out, we can get democratic here. But first, we have a little bit of business, and that is Underdog, our friends at Underdog. I am a long-term Underdog user. My best ball teams underperformed this year, not surprising. A very, very wacky fantasy season, but football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at Seahawks at 49ers. Going to be a hell of a game. And I'm selecting Christian McCaffrey for over 0.5 touchdowns. Can't believe that's the line. And Jackson Smith and Jigba for over 6.5 receptions. I think those are pretty good bets. I think this is going to be, those three teams in that division this year have just been epic. Of course, I'm also talking about the Rams. With Underdog Unwrapped, you'll unwrap tons of promos all throughout the holidays. We've got boosts, gimme picks, deal reveals, and even some surprises sprinkled in. Now is the best time to get in the game. Download the app today and use promo code Arrowhead Addict to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
There we go.
I got to take a breather. Trying to even have some semblance as fast as you are, it's taxing, my brother. So let's get into power ranking the biggest problems of the 2025 season. It is Scapegoat City time. I'm going to read off these 10 different things, and we can adjust. We can tweak the list to your liking and get something that we agree on. And then we're going to count down from 10 to 1 and figure out what was the single biggest problem, or, kind of like the top 3 even biggest problems this season. I think there are a lot of them. Let's run through them. Revolving door at offensive tackle. When you're down to offensive tackle 5 and 6 starting for, the last quarter of the season, that's obviously a problem. You good on that one?
Sure.
Lack of investment on running back talent. I don't even have to ask you on that one. Andy Reid's stale scheme / no new voices on the offensive coaching staff. Thumbs up?
Oh yeah, all these. Yeah.
Just give me the gladiator if it thumbs down if you don't have anything. Chris Jones supporting cast on the defensive line. Lack of veteran leadership at safety.
Well, again,
Wide receiver-
we're ranking them, so I'll have thoughts on all of them.
Wide receiver room is too small, specific, if I can say that word. Spags lost some of his blitzing magic.
Disagree, but okay.
If you disagree, that's one we can replace if you have any other ideas. Not utilizing the advantages of future cap space. Drafting late every year / minimal scouting time. It's actually something Steve Spagnuolo said last year, playing to the Super Bowl every year. They have less time to look at these guys. He'll be at the combine and not even knowing who the hell some of these guys they're talking to are. Lastly, lost confidence and eroding mystique following the absolute drubbing they took in Super Bowl 59. So do you have any other suggestions for Spags lost some of his blitzing magic?
No, I just think that I'd probably put that at 10 because to me, it depends on how you view this question. I don't think he's lost his blitzing magic. I just think that he's forced to blitz. And so when you're forced to blitz a lot, it gets put out there on tape because you have to blitz to get any sort of pressure. I still think Spags is a phenomenal blitz package artist. So I get where you're coming from, but I just think it's a different issue rather than just he lost his fastball. I just think he has to use his fastball so much that even if you throw 103, dudes will time it up.
They know the heater is coming and they know when it's coming. I'd also argue that you lose Justin Reid, who I think one of the things we're going to see here is he had a lot of intangibles, very smart player, very good blitzer, very, very good blitzer, very good at disguising blitzes. Trent McDuffie in the slot, didn't play in the slot much this year. Also a very good blitzer, but mainly from the slot. L'Jarius Sneed was a great blitzer. I just think that probably plays into it. And of course, the defensive line, which is another problem. When they're not getting pressure, opposing offenses know you have to send the heat, and they have a good idea when you're sending it. So we're both in agreement that is 10 because I just think Spags, a lot of these issues we're going to talk about, put Spags in a worse situation. What do you think is number 9?
Go to the top, one of the first 2 or 3 you said. I think the offensive line one's more 9.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. Revolving door at offensive tackle. It's just bad luck. It's not.
Yeah.
No team threw more resources last offseason at offensive tackle than the Chiefs did with Jalen Moore and picking Josh Simmons. They really tried to address this, and I know they let Isapole leave for a while, but they got him back. Chu Goderick looks like an inspired acquisition. They acquired him through the international players pathway. So I think they did their due diligence here. They're just truly snake bitten at tackle right now.
Yeah. And again, most of these happened later in the season. It wasn't like it was week 1. And now Josh Simmons obviously missed some time. Let's not get that part twisted, but this is a 9 for me. There's so much talent even going into next year that will be returning on the O-line. I'm not worried.
I'm going to say on 8, drafting late every year, minimal scouting time. I do think it's an issue, but I think it's kind of an excuse more than a problem.
Well, yeah, because you have scouts that do that for you. I know Spags and Andy, they end up, making a lot of the final decisions, right? But they have scouts also that do a lot of the groundwork on the forefront. So I think it is a little bit of an excuse. Does it matter? Sure. But does it drastically matter? I don't know. I don't think that much. I mean, they've drafted fairly well for the most part. So I'll say no.
I do think drafting late every single year is a problem because
Yes.
it also affected the Patriots. We saw that with the Patriots. Like now the Patriots also had their funky own board where they only had Bill Belichick like eliminated 60% of the players and refused to properly acknowledge the consensus board, which I think is always a mistake. We saw the Raiders for a while. They basically wrecked their franchise over that, and they still haven't recovered. But the Chiefs, I think, are really going to benefit from actually drafting so early. And everyone's thinking about the first round. It's not just the first round. It's every round after that. Now, this is where things are going to get a little interesting. We're down to 7.
I think the safety aspect, the leadership.
Yeah, I agree with you because I think Brian Cook was pretty good. But
was
this
great.
is really the first year where they haven't had Tyrann Mathieu, which, I mean, legendary player, all 2010s decade team, and very, very smart football player. And then Justin Reed is an exceptionally smart guy himself. He went to freaking Stanford. So this is the first time, and previously they had Eric Berry before that. So this is the first time in a decade, longer than a decade probably, where the Chiefs haven't had a veteran safety leading that secondary. Perhaps that was some of the special sauce that allowed the corners and the other safeties to play so well and always be in the right position. And I don't think bringing back Justin Reed was the answer, but they just kind of didn't address that typical strategy. And they said, we're going to rely on Jaden Hicks and Chamari Connor and Brian Cook. And only one of the three of those guys really played up to expectations. I would say Brian Cook probably surpassed expectations.
I think that safeties and the defense in totality was not the issue. I mean, to me, the defense this year was good enough to make it back to the Super Bowl. They gave currently the third fewest points in the AFC. I mean, it's not the defense and their fault. But yes, there were also some back-breaking, long third downs that were given up. There were some situations that left players open that I think in years past maybe we didn't see, and maybe that was the adjustments from Justin or Tyrann Mathieu. I think what's hard is Chamari Connor, I still think is a really good safety. I think he's put in a bad spot, and it's not his fault. If you put me at wide receiver in the NFL, it's not my fault. It's whoever's putting me out there. Putting Chamari Connor in the slot against fast receivers, it's not his fault. There's enough track record to say that's not his game. He does other things very, very well. And when he's put in those spots, he does great. But when he's put in the slot, he struggles. This is not new, but he keeps being put there. Brian Cook, I thought, was excellent this year. Like, excellent. Like a top 10 safety in the NFL, bordering top 5 to 7. I mean, I thought Brian Cook was really good. The issue that arose was Jaden Hicks never took that step forward and maybe regressed. They thought Jaden Hicks was going to be the Justin Reed. I mean, that's really what they thought. And we noticed in training camp, even, it was like, okay, he's not running with the ones, but maybe they're just trying to ease him in. The preseason, then the regular season started, and he was clearly the third safety. When they brought in Mike Edwards, they brought him back, and Mike Edwards was getting run over Jaden Hicks. And quite frankly, I don't blame the Chiefs. Now, week 18, once you're out of the playoffs, throw Jaden Hicks out there and see if he can grow and show what he flashed year one. But Jaden Hicks was a disappointment this year. There's no two ways around it. He did not take the step that I think a lot of fans thought, and I think clearly what the Chiefs thought. But again, Brian Cook did, so there wasn't quite the drastic drop-off in the secondary.
A couple of thoughts there, just following up. The first is, I agree with you. The defense probably was, I don't know. I'm trying to say it out loud that the defense is probably good enough. I don't know if I can get there. I think the points per game might have been a byproduct of the Chiefs' offense. They have long, methodical drives that really limit how many drives the opposing offense gets. I think that's been a big part of the formula, not for the original Legion of Zoom Chiefs, but this current iteration of dink and dunk ball control. So maybe that's part of it. And then Brian Cook is a free agent. Did the Chiefs have to bring him back, given the circumstances of how Jaden Hicks is playing, how Chamari Connor looks out of position? Or are they just going to go into free agency and find somebody else, draft somebody else?
I think it's either Brian Cook or a veteran. I don't think you can go in with a rookie or with Jaden Hicks starting. There's nothing that shows that should be it. I think Shamari can still be one of the safety spots, but Brian Cook, I looked today on Spotrac, his AAV expected value is like $14.5 million. It looked like he was supposed to sign a 4-year, $58 million-ish contract is what I looked up. It was the highest of all safeties. So even those sites say how good Brian Cook has been. So that's probably out of the Chiefs' price range. So we'll see where they go and where they go, but that's what I saw, and I thought it was crazy.
Wow. Yeah, because Jalen Thompson, Harrison Smith is he third? I mean, he's like
no. There's a guy down the Rams safety is I think second or third.
Quentin Lake, yeah.
And
then Harrison Smith, who's like my age. Interesting. I don't know what they're gonna do. They're gonna have to figure something out, but not the biggest problem, but something they are definitely gonna have to figure out because it wasn't up to their usual standards this year. They usually have such exceptional safety play that when they don't, some years it's interesting. I think the last 3 times they've had subpar safety play, it's really kind of kept them from going to the Super Bowl because this was the last time it happened was the year where Daniel Sorensen was just absolutely washed out there. And you saw Tyrann Mathieu kept doing this, and Tyrann Mathieu didn't. I love the Honey Badger, but he didn't want to really tackle anybody that year. So, and then Eric Berry's kind of last year, his swan song with the Chiefs in 2018, when Tony Romo in that playoff game was just like, they're going at Eric Berry right here. So, number 6. Now we're getting really, really interesting.
Can you run through the last 6? The
yes,
last 6?
Let's recap. Lack of investment in running back talent. Andy Reid's stale scheme, no new voices in the offensive coaching room. Chris Jones's supporting cast on the defensive line. Wide receiver room is too small and specific. Not utilizing the advantages of future cap space, and lost confidence and eroding mystique.
I think that one.
Tough.
That one, the eroding mystique. I think it's a little, I don't want to say overblown, but it's the NFL. You get to the NFL by thinking you're better than everyone else and that you're going to beat everyone else. So even if you face the Chiefs, I don't think there's a case of, oh no, we can't beat them. They always win. I don't think that's really as prevalent as I'm not saying there's not at least a little bit of we haven't beat them, and so they've proven they're better than us. But I don't think players, when they're playing the games, really think that. I think that's a little overblown trope, in my opinion.
I think there's one time where it happens in these games, and it's been a significant change from 2024 to 2025. And that's a combination of the Chiefs losing a little faith in themselves, that they're always going to deliver late in games, and other teams have stopped kind of saying, here we go again against the Chiefs late in games. And I think in those big moments, the mental edge that the Chiefs have had has evaporated. So we're talking about the margins here, but a lot of times when you're talking about the NFL, seasons are in the margins. And I don't think that's ever been more clear than the 2024 Chiefs versus the 2025 Chiefs. Just not that different of a team. One team goes to the Super Bowl, the other doesn't even make the playoffs and is going to have a top 10, probably at worst top 12 draft pick. But I agree with you. It is a little bit nebulous compared to these other ones. You know me, I'm a big cap guy, and I do think
that was my number 5.
I do think where other teams are starting to backfill a little bit better, like the Philadelphia Eagles, it has hurt the Chiefs a little bit that they have these high-paid stars in Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones and maybe the most expensive line in the league. And they're not looking at Patrick Mahomes like, yeah, this is a reason to do a lot of void years and kick the can down the road a little bit because of gambling and tech. The cap keeps spiking. They're keeping the cap clean. I think that is going to pay dividends this year when they probably finally need to do more of this stuff. But yeah, I think it's been a depth issue in my opinion.
Yeah, that was my number 5 was the cap and kicking the can and doing what the Eagles do and what the Saints did. I think it's definitely a factor. I think it can be, again, something that's slightly overblown, but it is a at least slight factor. You wish someone like Clark Hunt would do a little more of that. I know we got pushback when we even brought this up when they were winning Super Bowls, and we said that's not necessarily the point. The point is you're winning Super Bowls, you're getting this extra money, and you're still not doing it. Like that, just because you do it with the cheaper payroll doesn't mean that's the blueprint or the main game plan. No, the main game plan is to have as many great players on your team as possible. The Dodgers aren't going to win the World Series every year, but they give themselves the best possible chance every single year, right? That's what they do. Mm-hmm. And just because the Royals won one year in 2015, big Royals fan, doesn't mean that that's the traditional method of winning World Series. You can win one, but that's not the best chance to win one. The best chance to win one every single year is doing some of these lucrative cap changes and salary cap maneuvers. And we just haven't seen that in KC. It's not that they don't ever do it. They're like 27th, I forget what it was. I think it was like 27th or something in the NFL in doing it. And I don't want them to be number 1, but can they get to the top 10? Can they get to the 8 where they're probably going to pick at? Can they get to the 8 to 12 range? That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, and you see Detroit and Buffalo and the Ravens in that range from maybe 8 to 14, and that's all we're asking for. We're not asking for the Eagles or the Browns or the peak of the Saints. I think 2 things are working against the Chiefs. Everybody cites the Saints. Where the Saints got in trouble is they should have paid off their debt when they lost Sean Payton and Drew Brees. And for some inexplicable reason, they kept the tab running. And the other thing is COVID. Their accounting didn't expect for COVID. But you also have the Patriots, and they were a little bit frugal in New England during their dynasty. And I think people accredited that being a big reason for some of their success. And I would say that when you have the best coach in the league and the best quarterback in the league, that's probably why you're winning, not your savings and your coupon clipping. This is where it gets very, very interesting. Oh,
so we have 4 left.
Yep. Running back talent, Andy Reid's scheme, defensive line supporting cast, and wide receiver room being small and specific.
Wide receiver room being small and specific. I think that there's still enough talent in that wide receiver room that they shouldn't have been this bad. I know injuries and suspension for Rashee Rice, but Rashee's different than the other guys. It's not like they don't have anyone with a different skill set. Rashee Rice has a different skill set. I think Xavier Worthy was used wrong. Hollywood Brown is a pretty fine wide receiver 3, I think, on any team in the NFL. Juju has a role as wide receiver 4. Tyquan Thornton blossomed into a good deep ball threat. No, I've pushed back on that a little bit this year. I think that there's talent in the wide receiver room. I think they're being misused. You look at New England. Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, Mac Hollins, Kayshon Boutte, Pop Douglas. I mean, those guys, that's 4,200 plus yards Drake May has thrown for this year. With those guys. No, I'm not going to hear the excuse of lack of wide receiver talent. I'll hear of lack of development. I'll hear of regression. But I think those guys, I think there's talent in the wide receiver room. I think it's overblown.
Did you forget somebody for the Patriots? Oh, Kyle Williams. I mean, not the biggest deal in the world. Did you say Kyle Williams?
No, are you serious? You think is Kyle Williams bigger than anyone? Kyle Williams would be wide receiver 5.
He's Tyquan Thornton, basically. Same kind of ballpark. Big play merchant. Yeah, I still think I don't know that they need to go out and like trade for AJ Brown or anything, but bringing in someone like Jawan Jennings, who can be a contested catch, third down chain mover, and can be a blocking force in the running game, would just give them another body type. You got to think of wide receiver rooms as basketball teams. And right now, I do agree that Rashee Rice is a small forward, but they don't have a big man. You know what I mean? They don't have a 4 or a 5. And I think every team kind of needs that. Also, when they put Juju Smith-Schuster in the game, it's a tell right now. It's a poker tell. It's a pretty good chance that he's going to block if he's out there. And you never like these receivers being used so situationally. And I think I'm also talking here about the utilization, which is probably the bigger problem, like sloppy routes, lazy, not squeezing the football. They've had the most drops in the past 3 years, which coincides with Connor Embree's tenure in Kansas City. And I just think they need to reimagine the way they use these guys and the way they approach the position on a day in, day out basis. Now we're going to get super interesting because these three, I have no idea which I think is the biggest. I'm probably going to go running back third.
So it's running back, scheme, and what's the other one?
Chris Jones supporting cast on the defensive line, which is a major, major problem.
Yeah, I'll go running back third. I'll go
It's
running
top
back
three.
third with you. Yeah, I think the top three are clear-cut top three.
And we said that coming into the show that we're going to find these top 3 biggest issues. And I think this kind of gives us a blueprint for the draft when we're sitting here talking about, okay, the third biggest problem is a lack of investment in running back talent. They learned the right lesson, perhaps, from picking CEH. They just went too far in the other direction. I think you had an interesting tweet yesterday, though, Sterling. You basically said that I think it was top 12 running backs picked inside the top 12. There might have been like one bust in there.
The biggest bust in the last 11 years since 2015 has been Leonard Fournette. That was the one bust.
Lombardi Lenny, right? That's the one bust.
The one bust was Fournette, and Fournette at least had a pretty solid career. I mean, that's what it was. And then you get to, it's really funny, when we lumped all the first rounders together, you think it's a mixed bag. Well, because 15 and on, the only one that really was a hit was Josh Jacobs. Every other guy was Clyde, Sony Michel, Etienne wasn't worth the first rounder. I would like him in Kansas City this offseason, but he wasn't worth a first rounder. I mean, there were so many guys that you're like, wow, there's a drastic difference between a top 15 running back or a 16 through 32 running back. It was crazy. It was alarming.
Najee Harris is in there, and of course,
Najee Harris.
Marion Hampton to be determined.
I said Marion Hampton and Ashton Genty were two. I didn't count those guys because it was unfair.
So I think the moral of the story here is you either draft a running back in the top 12 or you wait until the second or third round. In what's kind of a weak draft class, I think there is going to be a case for Jeremiah Love, just especially in Kansas City, where you should have the offensive mind, the offensive line, the quarterback, the pieces, the infrastructure to drop a running back in and have them be a huge difference maker. Most teams picking in the top 10 just aren't prepared to sprinkle in that cherry on top of the sundae. I think the Chiefs are. And honestly, I have to look at this draft class. I haven't started doing draft prep yet, but we're going to start doing that earlier than normal, baby. That's the plus side of the Chiefs season, ending the way it has. But I'd rather have them do that and get a sure thing than whiff on another, like, I don't know, Tyson Jackson or Glenn Dorsey or Ryan Sims. I don't
mean,
want
that's
that
a long
to happen.
time ago, but I get it.
I'm
To
scared.
me, I'm team running back in free agency, and then like a fourth round, third round running back as well for addition. I don't think first rounder. I've gone through this so many times. I think that the monetary value of a defensive end or even a wide receiver like a Cardinal Tate is vastly outweighing what you could get at running back. Just again, the value is different. I know everyone keeps going with Bijan. I don't think Jeremiah loves Bijan, so I don't know why we keep doing this. We are equating him to one of the best, if not the best, running back in the NFL. Let's not do that. That seems silly.
It might be Gibbs though, or Reggie Bush or something like that.
Sure, yeah. Name phenomenal running back. That's always good. Name the outliers. No. To me, again, he could be of the top 12. They were all pretty good. Just to me, I would sign Breece Hall now. Don't have to give up draft capital. I would sign Breece Hall or ETN and then draft whether it's an edge or a wide receiver. That to me makes more sense in the first round. It's all how the board falls, though.
I'm also in on Kenneth Walker. I think he would really fit in Kansas City. His boomer bust kind of home run style. I don't think it's really what Seattle wants, but in Kansas City, it would be a perfect fit. So there's three kind of headliners there. Hopefully they don't get franchise tagged, but we shall see. Now it gets really tough because the two things that, maybe outside of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, that have been most instrumental in the sustained success of the Mahomes era have been the pass rush led by Chris Jones. And usually he's had good enough players around him that he's been able to do his thing, and they've benefited from cleaning up while he's doing his thing. And then Andy Reid has really found a way to stay ahead of the league as defenses have kind of crowdsourced how to stop the Chiefs. And I think finally defenses have gotten ahead of Andy Reid at this point. And I think part of this is they haven't had a chance to really tear it down and reimagine themselves and recalibrate. They've kind of just had to keep with the status quo because they keep reaching the pinnacle every year, and you don't tear things down preemptively. I think they've been doing a little bit of retooling, like you like to say, which I think is a great word for what the Chiefs do. As they go along, they traded Tyreek Hill, they traded L'Jarius Sneed, they traded Joe Thuney. So they've been trying not to get old, but they really haven't reimagined themselves offensively. Which order do you put these two?
To me, it's two, Chris Jones supporting cast. Just defensive line in general is number two. To me, the clear number one is the scheme. I've talked about it many a time on this show. I've been talking about it for weeks now. I don't really need to dive into it again, but it's antiquated. It's outdated. It's the same scheme from 2022, and that to me is by far the biggest issue. Again, we could talk D-line and how bad they are, which they've been bad, horrible. The defense overall still give the third most points in the AFC. It's the offense. It's the scheme. It's the fact that safeties know where Rashee Rice is going to be, more so than even Rashee Rice knows where he's going to be. It's because they know. They've seen it for 4 straight years now. Nothing's changed. And this is what the result is. So, to me, scheme, they'll adjust, they'll change. I have faith in Andy that he'll do it. He'll be forced to do it. And that's where I think this offense is at right now, is stuck in 2022. But now it's time for an overhaul. And I think Andy Reid is still able to be the catalyst and the director and designer behind said overhaul.
I agree with you. I think when you have Patrick Mahomes, offense is always going to be the catalyst. It's been the primary reason they've won all these Super Bowls and been to all these Super Bowls. Not that the defense hasn't played a large role at times, but it's not like New England or some of these other dynasties of the past, the Steel Curtain. It really hasn't been defense wins championships in Kansas City. It's been the Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes marriage that has been so fruitful. But I'm going to play the devil's advocate here because we've seen Andy Reid reinvent himself before. A lot of people thought he was done coming out of Philadelphia, that he was washed well over a decade ago. And now he's been so successful in Kansas City. What he did in Philadelphia is kind of but a footnote in the story of Andy Reid. So, and then you have the defensive line. I'm not very confident in this coaching staff and this front office when it comes to their ability to evaluate, draft, and develop these two positions, defensive tackle and especially edge. You look at FAU, Mike Dana, sure, he was a pleasant surprise. I don't know if that last contract was necessary. He was horrendous this year. I mean, I hate to be mean because I think Mike Dana is a guy in the NFL that played above his talent level and played his guts out, but he just doesn't have it anymore. Charles Omenihu, I think you could be a little bit meaner about. That guy talks all the talk, and this year he had none of the walk, and they just didn't have enough depth. I still am adamant that Chris Jones is playing way too many snaps. He still has it. He had a 90.7 PFF rushing grade, second among defensive tackles. He was third in pressures. He still looks like he gets off the line fast to me. He just looks a little older, a little bit more tired, and the guys aren't cleaning up after he gets those quick wins. I'm not going to say he's perfect. He did some dumb shit things this year, like standing up on the Trevor Lawrence play or jumping off sides. And I think
a lot of offsides. And by the way, the one that really quickly, just to reiterate that has to stop. And the thing that makes me wonder if he gets it or not, was it the Texans game? What game was it? It was a game where he was
awesome in that game.
Well, he was lined up off sides on 4th and 1. They call timeout. He comes to the timeout. They call timeout because he was lined up off sides. He lines up off sides again. Free first down. They end up going down. They punt. It gets down at about the 5-yard line. Well, they had stopped him on that 4th and 1. And after the game, he was asked about that. And he goes, well, you must have forgot. We forced him to punt after that. That was 45-ish yards of field position. That was a 45-yard penalty. And that's when it made me think, he doesn't get it. He didn't understand what that meant. He just basically tried to snap back and say, well, you must not have been paying attention. We had him punt after that. Sure. For a 45-yard differential on that play because you lined up off sides. The Chiefs went down, ended up kicking a field goal. Would they have scored a touchdown if they had a 45 yards less to go? Maybe, maybe not. But I thought that really stood out of he didn't get it. He didn't get the offsides, and he continues to do it as he did, was it last week? So at some point, love Chris Jones, Hall of Famer. I don't know how that continues to keep going. It's the Juwan Taylor lining up and stuff. Chris Jones, at least a much better player, a Hall of Fame player, so you'll live with it. But that was someone to me, when he had that comment, I go, he doesn't get it. That 45 yards never even crossed his mind.
I love Chris Jones. He's probably one of my top 5 all-time favorite Chiefs. I think he's in the argument for greatest defensive player in franchise history, if he isn't that. But a lovable guy, but sometimes with the excuses and some of the things he does, it's just he can be a little bit of a toddler. He's like a giant toddler sometimes. And I wonder if part of the lining up like he does is just like looking around at the other guys on the defensive line. If I don't do this, nobody else is going to. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just trying to understand the thinking. I'm going to recap this real quick and then get us out of here. Short show today. Sterling is ailing in multiple ways. So let's run through the list backwards. 10, Spags lost some of his blitzing magic. Number 9, revolving door at offensive tackle. Number 8, drafting late every year, minimal scouting time. Number 7, lack of veteran leadership at safety. Number 6, lost confidence and eroding mystique. Number 5, not utilizing the advantages of future cap space. Number 4, wide receiver room is too small and specific. Number 3, lack of investment in running back talent. Number 2, Chris Jones supporting cast on the defensive line. And number 1, Andy Reid's stale scheme and no new voices in the offensive coaching staff. There we have it. That's all we've got for you guys today. Please consider subscribing here on YouTube. That really helps us out. Please consider leaving a 5-star review on either Spotify or Apple. That also really helps us out. And check out the mothership, arrowheadaddict.com. Join us live next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central. right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.